Morning, folks. I am making a lot of biochar this morning. I want to talk to you today about 5 uses for biochar on the homestead. The first one is generally the most obvious, the one everybody talks about, and that's uses in the soil. Biochar is essentially, it's a cleaner grade charcoal.
Daddy,
Yes, honey.
did you want me to hammer something or hammer?
I don't think, give me that. I don't think you need to hammer anything. Okay?
Hammering charcoal.
Okay. Okay, where was I? Biochar in the soil. So biochar it's basically a charcoal. You're taking usually a wood or sometimes other carbon materials. We are heating it in a lack of oxygen environment so that it doesn't fully combust. We're left with a charcoal material. Now, we cook this stuff hotter. Most of your cooking type charcoal is done at around 450 degrees Fahrenheit, sometimes a little bit hotter than that, between the 450 and 600 degree mark. The stuff we're using in the soil that we call biochar is usually done between 800 and 1200 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's significantly hotter. It produces a cleaner, more porous, more absorbent material. Now, why is that good for the soil? Because essentially what we're doing is creating a material that acts like a compost in the soil. It holds onto water, it holds onto soil nutrients, it stores up the fertility in your soil, like your bank account. I've talked about that before. You get your bank account of fertility built up in the soil, and then like a retirement account, when it's full it starts paying you back. Well, this biochar, it holds onto water and soil nutrients fairly similarly to compost. Not quite as efficient or effective, but your compost breaks down. Compost, if you put it down, I mean, you can have 70-80% of that completely broken down and gone within about 3 years. Biochar never breaks down. Biochar, it improves the condition, which is the workability and aeration of your soil. Makes it fluff, makes a better tilth in your soil. Biochar holds something like 30-ish times more water than your average good soil does. So it's more like between 10 and 40 times more absorbent than your average good quality garden dirt. So it's going to hold a lot more water. And if I make the good stuff, which is all I make, I focus on making the good stuff, it's going to be more like that 30 to 40 times more water holding power than my soil out here. That means that if I put even just a small amount, like 3 to 5% of my top 6 inches of topsoil, that's going to make a significant difference in the water holding and nutrient holding capabilities of my soil, and it's permanent because it's not going to break down. So it improves the soil condition, the workability and aeration of the soil. It holds 10 to 40 times more water and fertility than good soil alone. It increases the beneficial bacteria. Now, we don't fully know why it does this. There's a few different reasons why it adds surface area that seems to be highly conducive for the beneficial bacteria to thrive in. Not quite sure why it's so highly conducive, but every time we add this stuff to the soil in good amounts, we get a significantly higher measurement of our beneficial bacteria in the soil. And we get lesser of the problematic bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli. It doesn't break down like compost, and soil that's been amended with something like around 5-ish% of this biochar, it's got 30 to 50% less fertility loss, less fertilizer seepage and fertility loss than your average soil. Now, use number 2 is compost. Biochar increases the decomposition speed of composting materials. I've seen reports where it goes up to 50% faster decomposition speed. I've seen it myself. It breaks down faster. Why does it do that? Well, it does that because it's increasing the beneficial soil bacteria. The beneficial composting bacteria are the same ones as beneficial soil bacteria. It also, just like it holds on to nutrients in the soil, that biochar is going to hold on to nutrients in your compost so that you don't get leaching and runoff and outgassing of nearly as much nutrients. And I've seen 30 to 35% stronger compost achieved by adding 5 to 10% of just an empty raw biochar to it, mix it up, you would think that adding something that has basically no fertility would water down the overall finished product, but it actually causes a stronger finished product compost because it saves so much of the nutrients from leaching out into the soil, running off when it rains, and from outgassing into the atmosphere. So, biochar is awesome. Now, manure. Biochar reduces the smell of manure. It does it by a couple different ways. One, by decreasing bad bacteria, which when things smell bad and foul, that's bad bacteria. It absorbs smells. I don't know how, it does. And it increases bad bacteria, it increases good bacteria, decreases bad bacteria. It makes a manure smell less when you add it to a manure pile, or in something like in your chicken run. I'll add that stuff a lot into our chicken runs under the chicken pen. It'll soak up a lot of the manure, keep it drier, there'll be less flies, there'll be a lot less smell, and it's absorbing that nutrients that would have otherwise washed away. Manure usually loses between 50 and 80% of its nutrients, its nitrogen and its potassium especially, by the time that it's a finished, aged, or composted product. If you fill it with 5-10% of a biochar as you're piling it up, you're going to save 20, 30, 40, 50% additional nutrients. You're going to end up with a stronger product. Use number 4 is animal feed. This one's probably my favorite. Okay, this one's absolutely my favorite. Biochar in animal feed. Why does it help? Well, you've probably started to figure out that by now, biochar increases the good bacteria, decreases the bad bacteria. It does the same thing in our gut because the bacteria in our gut are all the same types of bacteria that are in the soil. Healthy gut bacteria is actually about the same as really healthy soil bacteria. In fact, I've seen in third world countries where they treat severe digestive problems with dirt, clean, healthy, vibrant, bioactive soil, because of all of the probiotic bacterias that are in that soil reset the gut flora. Sounds kind of weird, but I mean the science says it kind of should be able to work. Anyways, in feed, the end result, what it does, biochar increases nutrient absorption in animals. It reduces worms and E. coli. Not necessarily significantly, and it takes a time. We're talking like over a 7-week period, so a month and a half to 2 months of giving 1 to 2%, usually about that range, of biochar added into an animal's feed, usually like powdered form, and then you wet it down so it all sticks together. Add that into their feed over a month and a half to 2 months, and we see a significantly reduced number of worms and E. coli in the gut. I think that's really awesome. The biochar aids gut health, which means better growth for the animals. If your gut's working, the whole body works better. We're starting to just learn that a little bit better in modern medical science for people. Gut health is huge for the rest of your body. Same with animals. When their gut works, they get better nutrients out of their feed. They have less disease problems. The immune system comes up so much stronger when their gut health is better. Biochar aids gut health, which leads to, and absolutely every study shows this, significantly better growth from including a very small amount of biochar. The last use, my use number 5 here, and that is fires. Fire starting, cooking. Biochar is a fire starting device because it's such a light, fluffy, charred carbon material. It takes heat very well. I can hold a match next to a piece of biochar, and after a few seconds, it's glowing red. Blow on it for a minute, and you have a nice, solid, red-hot coal. I started the fire in my wood stove that way this morning. A little handful of biochar, 1 crumpled up paper on top. I lit it. It got the biochar, that charcoal, with lots of little red hot spots. I blew in there for a minute and I had a nice bed of coals. Just throw my wood on, close it, and it's good. It's good for cooking. You ever done a barbecue over charcoal? Biochar is a charcoal. It is a cleaner charcoal, which means it lights a lot faster. It has a much more even heat. It burns a little hotter, but it also burns more quickly. I did not drink any coffee yet. I was cooling it down. So, for cooking, that's actually one of the fuel types that's common in the high-end Japanese steakhouses with their fancy pants Wagyu beef that I think is half a scam, honestly. But they use what we would call a biochar. It's a charcoal that was cooked at a super high, super hot temperature so that it's a lot cleaner and it has virtually no smoke. Don't bump my camera. Don't bump the camera. So it has virtually no smoke. Then they use it indoors because it's basically no smoke, and it still has a slight kind of woody taste when you cook over it, but it's a lot higher temperature and it's very clean. So the 5 most basic uses for this biochar are: use it in your soil, use it in your compost, use it in your manure, use it in animal feed, and use it for fires or cooking. Now, you can go check out northernhomesteading.com, my blog, type in biochar, and you'll find any of the articles that I've already written about this, including this latest one. I'll love to see you guys over there. Look for me in the comments. Don't forget to check out our new Facebook group, Homestead Know-How, on Facebook. I'm there all the time talking. Chat me up sometime. I'll catch you later. Bye now.